here with a Titan on the mic. This person is to poetry what AI was to the NBA in 1996, which means she ain't to be played with. She's a rookie that is killing it. Some call her the white coat goat. Others call her Smiles, but she ain't nothing to play with. Give it up for Andrea, all smiles.
That is crazy. AI?
AI, listen.
I'll take it.
You are a rookie that has absolutely taken over the poetry scene. I consistently see you on flyers being featured. You went from starting January of 2023 to featuring at Voices in Power. So I think it's safe to say AI in 96.
I'll take it. I will take it.
So I yelled a lot of adjectives, but I'm curious, how do you describe yourself?
As a poet, it's really hard for me to talk about myself, even though all I do is talk about myself in my poetry. But describing myself, I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm.
I smile a lot. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm very kind-hearted and genuine. Okay. So all of my connections are real.
Yeah.
And I love God, man. Like, I just feel like I'm gifted, I'm blessed, and I just feel like I just want to just spread that love and that joy that I have within myself. I just feel like that's just like a main part of my mission.
Yeah. So you're an extrovert. You're a people person. And then, I mean, it's obvious in both your poetry and then also in your presentation that you love God.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. So both my parents are pastors. Okay. So I grew up a pastor's kid. Mm-hmm. Some people know about my piece, Dear PK, mm-hmm. Which means pastor's kid. But so I've been in church my entire life. Yeah. I feel like it's deeply rooted within me. I feel like the religious aspect was something that I got a hold of first before the relationship aspect. And I feel like those are two very different things.
Break down the difference of the two.
So I feel like religion is more of like the construct of it. Like, it's more concrete. This is like more of the do's and don'ts, more of how you should live, rules to abide by. But I feel like the relationship is very, very personal. It's very individual for everyone. Yeah. It's not going to look the same, like for me or for you, for me, for my mom, for my dad. Like, it looks very different. Yeah. And I didn't get that concept until probably like my early 20s. I just turned 25, so I'm in my mid-20s now. I'm in my mid-20s now. But I feel like my early 20s is where it kind of clicked for me. Like, no, this is me and God now. Like, it's not, oh, this is what my mom did, this is what my dad did. Yeah. They're going to pray for me and that's it. No, I got to build that relationship for myself. And in getting that, I feel like it just changed my life for the better, for sure.
Yeah, so we're diving in early, which I love. It was like AI in 96, and this is my relationship with God. What do you think that switch was for you to go from religion, which is a set of beliefs, a set of rules, a set of norms, the do's and don'ts, to relationship? What do you think brought you to that space?
I feel like me trying to explore the world on my own kind of brought me to that place. Yeah. Realizing that I can't do what everybody else does. It's just not comfortable for me. And one of my pieces, Free, I talk about how I tried like drinking, I tried edibles and stuff, just like doing what I feel like other people do. Like 18, 19, 20, 21, this is what people are doing. So it's like just trying to experience the world for myself, trying to like dive into what other people do and realizing like, no, I don't feel comfortable. So just trying to ask God, like, all right, so why me? Like, what do you have for me? Like, and I think that kind of grew my prayer life, like just me bugging him, like what's going on? Like, why does this not work for me, but it works for everybody else? What's the difference? What am I supposed to be doing? Yeah. And then like we've been finding it out. So,
been figuring it out.
Yeah, just been figuring it out.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to transition from relationship or religion to relationship. And it's such this interesting thing in terms of your journey of going to why me? Like, so I'm trying edibles, I'm drinking, and obviously I'm getting high, I'm getting drunk, but it's just it's not filling the thing that I thought it was going to fill. Man, we're getting deep early.
Sorry.
But what answer did you get to the question, why me? Or what answer are you getting as it's unfolding?
So an answer actually came from somebody in my church. She told me that I'm like the Moses of my generation. So it's like you experience these things and it's your responsibility to bring people out of. So it's like you're not called to stay in these things. You're called to bring people out of it. But you can't bring people out of it if you haven't experienced it. So just kind of realizing that it's so much bigger than me. Yeah. Like the why me is that this is bigger than you. But you just have the confidence, and it's like it's crazy that God trusts me that much. Yeah. But just knowing that He trusts me with the mission to like to be accountable to the people around me.
That's really dope. Yeah. It's also scary because I know the story of Moses. Yeah. Moses, he was royalty, and then there was a giving up of royalty to be a leader. Man, I'm sorry. Are you willing to give up royalty?
Yeah, like I feel like for me, I feel like that's why God trusts me so much. Because it's like, I'm like, money's gonna come. I know that. Like notoriety, you can, yeah, like it's gonna come. Right, you nice. Like, career like opportunities are gonna come. Like fame is gonna come. I just already know that. But that's not what matters to me. Like what matters to me is like giving back to people. What matters to me is like when people hit me up like, hey, you inspired me to start my sobriety journey. Like I heard your piece and it really made me change my life. Yeah. Or your piece inspired me to go to therapy. Or your piece inspired me to talk to my dad who I haven't talked to in 3 years. Yeah. And try to like, tell him how I feel. Like that's what matters. Like that's how I get paid, essentially. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what it is for me.
Yeah. So you're not just doing it for the snaps and the checks. There's the kind of there's the overarching, I know that what I write and what I perform have the ability to change people's lives. Yeah. Sheesh. Yeah. Sheesh. Man, so I also wanted to give credit to the other areas. One of the things I yelled loudly into this microphone was the white coat goat. Yeah. How did you get that nickname? I actually want you to talk to the people. How did you get that nickname?
So in September 29th to be exact, I will be receiving my doctorate in physical therapy at the ripe age of 25. So
let's go.
Dr. Andrea Stanton, Dr. Smiles, the white coat goat. So that's where that name came from.
So you're a poet. It's a little bit premature, but you're a doctor.
I got the white coat in the house.
Oh, you got the white coat, and you didn't bring the white coat to the interview?
I did not.
Okay, you didn't know I was going to yell the white coat.
No, I did not.
So you got the white coat. Yeah. You got the accolades. You got the featurette Voices in Power. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
All happening very, very quickly.
How are you handling it all?
By writing. Okay. Like I feel like that's definitely a big part of my ability to decompress, ability to compartmentalize and like put names to how I'm feeling. Yeah. And then it just comes out as pieces. Okay. I don't really write often. I just kind of get into these zones sometimes. Yeah. I was just talking about this earlier just with one of my friends. Like sometimes I just write. I'll just wake up in the middle of the night. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll write a piece, 15 minutes, go back to sleep. And it's just like...
Oh, you got it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't realize
I take hours to write, y'all.
I didn't realize that wasn't normal. Yeah. Until I started telling people. And they're like, that's not normal. But I feel like writing is a big part of it. Exercise is like a big part of it. Like before all of that, basketball is like my thing. So it's like I started playing basketball like on teams when I was like 9 or 10.
What position did you play?
Shooting guard.
Shooting guard. You seem like you could score.
Point, I'll play point if I have to, but I would prefer to come off ball, like run off screens, like.
Yeah, so you got people chasing you around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like you were. I don't often get this feeling, but I feel like you were good at basketball.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still play like recreationally. Like I play at least once a week.
Okay.
I feel like it's very therapeutic for me. So that's yeah.
How do you find the time to wait? Time out. I'm struggling to do this podcast and to be a therapist. And you're like, yeah, I play ball. I'm about to get a doctorate. I wake up in the middle of the night and write poetry. Yeah. I feed orphans in like Africa. Like I do it all. Like, how do you find the time to do all this stuff?
Less sleep than anticipated, but I feel like I take naps. Sleep finds me sometimes. But I feel like I do sleep a good amount. Like for I think my clinical schedule, because I'm in my clinical rotation now,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm actually like practicing physical therapy on like real people,
Yeah.
like 8 to 5.
Yeah, that's
Monday through
terrifying.
Friday.
I remember when I was like first becoming a therapist, I'm like, no, this is a real person. Like if I
Yeah.
say something wrong, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
So,
just.
no, you're good. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I'm working.
Okay.
Then afterwards, I got some time to either study or maybe like practice a piece, write a new piece.
Yeah.
Play basketball.
Yeah.
Come here, do podcasts. Like, yeah.
There's 2 words that are coming to mind. Man, none of this is in my notes. This is great.
We're just flowing, man.
Yeah. The 2 words that come to my mind are anointing and then discipline. Like
Jesus.
there's a certain this is our first time sitting down.
Yeah.
And it's not just the smile that brings light. There's something about you that's bringing light right now. And then with that anointing, I'm also hearing somebody who's disciplined, right? Who is willing to listen to the Lord at 2:00 in the morning. This is becoming a Christian podcast. Praise the Lord, y'all.
Praise the Lord.
But somebody who's willing to listen to the Lord at 2 a.m. and write. Like, where do you think particularly that discipline was instilled in you?
Definitely my mom, like 100%. I feel like when it comes to me being anointed, I had no choice in that. Like that's just God. That's just God. But when it comes to discipline, my mom is like 5 a.m. prayer, like every morning. Like she would come in, she would, like I remember being a kid, my mom would come in the middle of the night, I'm asleep, and she's anointing my head with oil.
Oh, you got the oil?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
So it's like, I just remember that, just her all the time. Like it doesn't matter what mood she's in, she just knows like to be on her post praying for, whether it be me and my sisters, my dad, like my church, whatever the case may be. Like she's just disciplined in that area when it comes to like her relationship with God. But in terms of like discipline overall, to like balance being a student, being a poet, I don't really know if I could say it's as conventional as people might think, because it's like my brain doesn't operate the same way as everyone else's. So my studying, I'll just be like, cool, close it. I'll be all right.
Okay.
So I don't really, I hate to brag, but it's kind of like a photographic memory a little bit, where it's like I can just recall pages and stuff. And it's the same thing with poetry. Like I'll just be sitting here just like reading through, but reading through what I wrote, but just saying it with a lot more conviction, I guess. So I don't know how else to explain it.
Okay, so you're just gifted. Praise the Lord. It's like he spilled a little extra in there, like, ooh.
Dropped a little.
He was like, that's good. She's going to be fine. We're going to do great things.
Yeah.
So now I kind of want to get to my notes.
Okay.
So let's go back. Let's like start at the beginning.
Cool.
So even before poetry, let's talk about your early experiences. You said you grew up in the church. You were relatively school, church, extracurriculars.
Yep.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's like I was at church every Sunday, majority of the day. We used to like family dinner afterwards, school, basketball, orchestra.
Orchestra, wait.
Yeah.
Orchestra, what instrument?
I forgot about orchestra.
Yeah, we talked like an hour before this.
Yeah, I forgot about orchestra.
What instrument?
I played clarinet.
Okay.
I actually got into like Cava and Benjamin Rush for music, and I declined because my sister was going to Benjamin Rush for dance, and I was like, well, she's already got the arts on lock.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to Central.
I'm going to go be a scientist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just like,
I could have been an artist.
Could have pursued music.
Okay.
My music teacher was very upset that I didn't continue.
Okay.
I was like,
yeah.
We're going to do something else because my sister's doing the arts. So.
Okay. Y'all both couldn't have done the arts?
We could have, but I just didn't want
to. He was like, no, I'm forging my own path.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just extracurriculars and I'm coming home. So it wasn't like I'm going to parties, going to over friends' houses, not leaving the block, not leaving the driveway. Like it was a very controlled, contained upbringing, which has its pros and its cons.
So let's talk about that. What are some of the pros of the very controlled upbringing?
I think safety, especially living in Philly, is a part of it. Like I felt like my mom always knew where I was. My dad always knew where I was, always knew who I was with. Yeah. So it's like that anxiety for them, that fear for them was kind of contained. But also for me, like I'm safe. They know where I am. Like I'm I'm always covered. I'm always safe. But I felt like the con was I wanted to know what was beyond the boundaries.
It feels like a symbol moment. Like everything the light touches.
Right.
But what's that over there?
What's that over there? Yeah. So Elephant Graveyard is kind of. Okay. I wanted to go see the Elephant Graveyard.
And did you?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So tell us a little bit about the Elephant Graveyard.
The Elephant Graveyard can best be described in my piece "Free" that I have. Basically, the two main stanzas are like, I used to drink and I used to take edibles. So it's like, I just wanted to do what everyone else was doing. It's like, y'all seem like y'all are having so much fun doing this.
Yeah.
Y'all seem like y'all have so much freedom not listening to your parents or like being out till whatever time at night or not answering your phone when your mom's calling. You guys are adults. Yeah. I want to be an adult. Yeah. I want to make my own decisions. Yeah. And then I did that. And it was nice. Yeah. It always seems fun in the midst of it. So much more fun than what it was.
Before. And then in the midst of it, you're trying to have fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this seems like it's going to be fun. And now I'm in it. So I'm like, I got to like really try to like enjoy this. And it doesn't sound like it was something that you enjoyed that much.
No.
Okay. All right. I want to hold that because I have a whole section about Free here. So early influences are the church. What were some of your other early artistic influences?
Music, for sure. Apart from like being in orchestra, there's only so much orchestral music like a child is going to listen to. I'm not Beethoven.
I didn't listen to any.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not Beethoven. I'm not gonna just like I'm not listening to that all the time. But my dad was like really big on diversifying our musical palettes.
Okay. So you weren't one of those like PKs that only listen to gospel?
No. But majority of it, yes.
Okay.
But for instance, my dad's favorite artist is DMX. So it's like as a pastor.
I know a lot of pastors that low-key love DMX.
Yeah. So it's like DMX the prayer. So it's like we kind of, you know. But yeah, like I grew up, they don't know that. Hey. So it's like, So rap kind of was, I like rap a lot. Yeah. Grew up listening to gospel rap, but then it just became like, all right, I'm in middle school now. Okay. I just like rap.
So what year were you in middle school?
2010 through 2013.
Wayne, we're getting to the point that the artists that we interview are in middle school when we're already in college. I feel old.
I make a lot of people feel old.
Yeah. So, all right. So now that I think I've said during every interview at this point, I feel old. 2010, 2014, you're in middle school. It's like some of your peak music listening to years. Who were you listening to?
Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Wayne. I was listening to Wayne a lot. Yeah, that's probably like.
That makes sense though, because you approach poetry a little bit like a battle rapper.
Which is so funny that you say that. Shout out to Nick Austin and L1, the philosopher, the curators of Apex Poetry League. Because I did battle.
So I've seen you, the first time I saw you live was at City Winery.
Really?
Yeah, so it was the poetry versus hip hop. Yeah. And there were like legit people on there. Like CSW, the heroic poet. Shout out to the heroic poet.
Shout out to my guy.
Ain't a slouch and was on there. Lex, unapologetically Lex is not a slouch.
So
it was on there.
I'll tell you about Lex. Lex was actually the first poet that I ever like talked to. Yeah. And we connected through Instagram. We had a mutual friend. He reposted her. And I was like, she is fire. Tough. But this was probably like 2 months after I started writing. Okay. Turns out she started writing and like putting stuff on Instagram around the same time. So we were catching each other right at the beginning. Yeah. She came to see me perform January 2023.
So that was
last year.
So your first performance?
Yeah, my first ever performance. She came to support me.
Yeah.
I told Young Bob, hey, she's going to go up after me because she's a poet too. And she's nice. Yeah. And she was like, she had never performed before. Okay. So this was her first performance too.
Okay. So y'all are like Kobe and AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I was like, yeah, she's going to go after me. And he was like, bet, put her down. And she's like, well, I'm from Philly. I ain't backing down from nothing. I'm going to do it. But okay. So it was just crazy. Like, yeah, we both started that night. And just to see where we are 2 years later is nuts.
And that's super impressive because you battled Lex.
I did.
You battled Lex. And the thing is,
I
want to make it very clear, and I hope Lex sees this. Lex is not a slouch.
At
like,
all.
Lex's pen and performance is tough. But I heard you won.
You heard right.
Okay. That was the only thing I've seen you not say with your chest thus far.
Because that's my twin. Like, that's really my dog. Like, she really brings out the best in me.
Yeah. And we need those people.
I won. But I won.
I like that. I like that. And we need those people too. We need those people who push us a little bit in our artistry, who make us like a little bit of competition. Mm-hmm. Iron sharpens iron is really dope. So
poetry versus hip hop.
Yeah, poetry versus hip hop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I said it because I remember watching you. I was like, yo, I gotta book Smiles. So I was alone at the thing because I'm always trying to see who I gotta book or who I want to book. And you're on stage with like legit people, Raya, Lex, CSW, and I'm sitting there like, yo, Smiles is tough. How do you think so early in your career you develop this confidence on stage?
I think it just transfers from how I actually am. Like I don't feel like it was much to develop. Because I'm just like, I know what I'm doing is good. Like we were talking earlier, I was like, I feel like anything that I pick up, I'm good at.
Yeah. So that's that like, anointing, that little extra skill in there.
Just that little extra is there. Yeah. But I just feel like I'm a naturally confident person. Definitely aware of my flaws, but I try not to like, I feel like I am my worst critic at times, but also I feel like that helps me because you can't say no worse than what I probably
that's real sometimes.
Myself.
Yeah.
So definitely also having the support system that I have, like whether it be family, friends, like they give me the green light. Like, no, this is dope. And it's like, I'm telling you this because it's true, not because it's what you want to hear.
Yeah, it's dope to have more than just yes people. Exactly. Like have people who genuinely believe in you. Wayne's one of those people. Like when I jumped back into poetry, Wayne went almost everywhere with me. Oh. And there was something dope to know that like, yo, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And Wayne was like, nah, hit him with painting walls, which I've retired that piece. But it was... Dang,
that's fire that you can retire a piece. That means that you got a catalog.
Well, I don't know about that, but maybe. I'll take the compliment. But it is good to have those people who are like really in your corner. Let's talk about the influence of your family, both as a person and as a poet. What role have they played in where you are right now?
They give me the most fire material. Like I feel like the pieces that get the most feedback, the most love, the most views are based on my family. Yeah. Like Dear God, Dear PK, A Letter to My Parents.
Yeah.
Those pieces are heavy hitters, but it's just like me analyzing my relationship with my family, the good and the bad. Like, because I feel like my deepest emotions come from them, like both good and bad. Yeah. So it's like, they just inspire me to be honest. I feel like, especially growing up, I just felt like I always had to be happy because it's like that's what people knew me as. Like, hence where Smiles comes from. It's like, this is natural. Like I really do smile this much. But I felt like I always had to do that.
How did it affect you to feel like you always had to be happy?
I wound up being depressed. And like,
that's real.
Yeah, I wound up being depressed, like anxious, like sleeping less, like really, really going through it mentally. Going through it spiritually, like just like, oh, this is too much. Like I'm always there for everybody else. I felt alone, even though that wasn't true. My family is always like, no, like come talk to us. Like we can't read your mind. Like I know you're going through stuff. I know it's hard being like the chosen one, the golden child. Like I know that's hard. But
gold is heavy.
It's really heavy.
Yeah.
Break your neck, boy.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's the biggest difference between your smile then and your smile now?
I feel like my smile now is more authentic, more genuine.
Okay.
I feel like I know I'm confident in the times where I don't want to smile and I won't force it. Okay. It's like, all right, I'm tired. Yeah. I want to go home. I don't want to go to this event. I don't want to just go show face and just, hey, how's it going? Or people come talk to me. Hey, how you doing today, Smiles? Okay. I'm tired. Like that's me now. I feel like before the smile was more of a mask. Like, I don't want you to really know how I'm feeling, so I'm just going to smile.
So it sounds like there's a boundary with your smile now, and it sounds like you're more willing to be honest with your feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hard to develop.
Poetry really helped it.
Yeah.
A lot, because it's like, all right, I'm going to get up here, be vulnerable. People are going to hear me and then give me feedback like, hey, I needed that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of have a charge, like a responsibility to be honest.
Yeah.
So I feel like me being honest is more than just for me now. So,
yeah. Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really dope. And there's something weird about poetry, right? Because it's this, I have a similar experience of like, although I don't think anybody would ever be like, Josh, it smiles. Like, and nobody's ever been like, he's super happy. But it's this idea that you get up and you do this thing that's very vulnerable. And then people see you in a way that like, it's not normal for people to see you. But then there's also this ability to have accountability in that. Because now people know that what they see in terms of you smiling all the time is not necessarily always authentic. Yeah. So it almost holds you to this standard. I want to transition. Okay. Because you haven't been writing that long.
No.
Like this is, I said you're the AI of poetry. When did you start writing?
I started writing August 13th of 2022.
So almost 2 years ago to the date. And tell us the story of what made you start writing.
So it started because of my guy, Meet Spady. So shout out to Meet Spady. He is an artist. He's a rapper. Billboard charting artist, by the way. Go check him out.
Listen, drop the
independent artist. You
accolades.
Already know I'm a sprinkling in.
Yeah.
But so I had met him at the beginning of 2022. So I was just like getting into his music. Like he had albums out. I'm like going through them, just like being honest. Like, this is how I feel about your music. This is the message that I'm getting, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yo, you're a really good writer. Like you really are getting the point of what I'm saying in my stuff, but you're writing it as if you could write for like a music magazine or something. Yeah. And I was like, I don't really write for anything other than like homework or like I might journal here or there if I feel like my brain's just like, all right, I got too much stuff in here. Let me just write something down. Like, I was like, nah, I would try it though. Like it seems like it would be cool. And he was just like, go for it. Like I would love to see that. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Be right back. I'm gonna go try something right now. And I came back in literally 15, 20 minutes and had written Dear God.
Wow. So first, shout out to your mans.
Yeah, shout out to my guy.
Because I love that story of somebody seeing something in you and being like, hey, actually, I think you should go do this.
Yeah, and that's my dog literally to this day. Like he's been through the whole poetry journey, like driving me to shows like, look, you got to go do this. I'm going to be here to support you. And it's like just being able to see the gift, but also to like see it through.
Yeah, to facilitate the gift as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate it a lot.
That's really dope. So then the first piece was Dear God. We're going to get to talking about this piece. But I before we get there, listen, I heard Dear God and I was literally taking notes. I was like, am I a poet? Like, I need to. So then when was the first time you performed?
January 6th. 2023.
So you've only been performing for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I've already run down your accolades, but in a year and a half, you've won. I saw an award, a golden mic on your Instagram the other day.
Last Friday.
You done won battles. You done performed on the main stage at City Winery. Yep. You featured at Voices in Power. Yep. So you really do just excel at all the things that you do. All right, we're going to take you kayaking or something. We're going to find out something.
I'll try. I picked up pickleball last week, and I learned it within an hour.
Wayne is a pickleballer, so
let's go.
Is that what y'all call yourselves, pickleballers?
Pickleballers.
I don't know. Anyway. So it went from pretty much you were analyzing rap to writing yourself to then performing.
Yep.
While also being a PT student.
Yep. I started my PT program probably the week after I wrote Dear God. So it just was like everything just
so these two things are like deeply intertwined.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you learned most from the performance piece of writing? So it's one thing to write. It's another thing to be up in front of people. What have you learned most from that?
When it comes to performance, shout out to Young Bob Headshot. He's the one who got me started performing. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I'm starting an open mic. I'm putting you on the flyer. So show up and perform. Be ready.
Sounds like you were bullied.
I was bullied. Okay. But I was like, you know what? I think I can be ready by then. I had 2.5 weeks to get ready. I was like, okay, we'll make this happen. Yeah. He was like, yeah, just have 2 pieces ready. I was like, 2?
Not just one.
Not just one, but 2?
Yeah.
Oh, my first night. This is crazy. Okay. But performance for me just feels so natural. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that it wasn't natural for everyone else until I started going to open mics. Yeah. Because when I first started writing, I had never heard anyone do like spoken word before. Mm-hmm. Like I thought you created something. I thought I created something.
This is
I thought I
reinvented rap.
The wheel. Like I really thought I was doing something. Then I was like, oh, there's an actual open mic full of people that are doing this. Oh, there's multiple open mics all around Philly. Oh, there's open mics all around the country. Like this is crazy. Yeah. But performance for me just felt natural. Like I just got up there and I was like, all right, I know how to project. I know stage presence. Like in college, like I've taken a public speaking course. So like
we all had to take that.
I get it. Yeah. So it's like I get that to a degree. But it's just I feel like it's easier for me to perform than it is to write. Okay. I feel like the hard part is writing it.
Okay, that makes sense. Where do you think you developed the ability to perform, the comfort being on stage?
Seeing my dad preach every week. Mm-hmm. Like he was on stage. He's a very charismatic person. Like that's where I get my extrovertedness, my charisma, my people person. Like that's all my dad. Like 100%. But his ability to captivate a crowd, like I just feel like I just was inherently just picking it up. Like it's just something that came natural to him, and I just feel like I just saw it at work every single week for years and years and years. So it's like it's my time to step on stage. I just kind of go right with it.
And so you had a front row seat to your dad's artistry in that way. I also imagine as a PK, you were on stage a lot too.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I was.
So Easter Sunday, Youth Sunday, yeah, all of the things. So you kind of had the training throughout the church to get there.
Exactly.
All right. So let's talk about your approach to writing. I've said, I mean, we had a conversation off camera. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that I'm most impressed by is I know a lot of poets. I am a poet, and I know a lot of poets that do a lot of things well. But for you to be so early in your career for all the things that you do well. So your pen is tough.
Thank you.
Your voice is tough. You have a very immediately it comes on, I want to pay attention. Mm-hmm. Your stage presence, you're theatrical, which is really dope. But let's talk about your pen. What is your approach to writing? Does it come, I'll just start there. What's your approach to writing?
My approach to writing, I've come to realize is kind of unorthodox, but I feel like everyone's approach to writing is probably a little bit different. Mm-hmm. I don't really write a lot.
Okay.
I will go, I know there's some people that write every day. Mm-hmm. There's people that write new pieces, multiple pieces within a day. Mm-hmm. I haven't written a new piece since I wrote one last week, but before then, it's probably been a month. I probably write maybe one piece a month, but it's I can't predict when I'm going to write a piece. It's not something that's structured. Mm-hmm. I have a sit down time, all right, I'm going to write for an hour today. I'm going to use this prompt and do that. Mm-hmm. I feel like whenever God starts downloading the piece, I'm just all right, I feel like I need to open my notes app right now and start writing. Okay. So it's very spontaneous.
Yeah.
Definitely a spontaneous process.
So it's when God speaks to you and then you kind of immediately respond to the call.
Yeah.
For me, I usually start with a line. It'll be somewhere in the middle of the piece. I'll start with a line and then I'll build out from there, which may be unorthodox to start in the middle and then build out. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself starting at the beginning, start at the end? How does it usually work?
I kind of start at the beginning most of the time. Okay. And most of the time, I write the entire piece.
Okay.
I don't really come back to pieces a lot. There's only been one piece that I've ever had to come back to, and that was Dear Pastor's Kid.
Okay.
That was the only piece.
Is that when you got to 10 and then went 10 more?
Yeah. I actually got to 8, and I was I don't think I can stop at 10. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to encompass everything in 10 things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I can get to 10 and be like, psych, there's 10 more things. I just got to figure out how to say that in a more poetic way.
Yeah.
But I also asked, because I have 2 older sisters, I was like, hey, what's some things that you guys would want to...
Oh, so you did research.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, I just asked them, I was like, what's some things that kind of like hurt you or pissed you off or you wish other people would speak on about being a pastor's kid? So they gave me a few and I was like, okay. So if I put it like this, and they were just like, yo, how did you just do that within this conversation? Yeah. So
that's really dope too. So it's not just your ability to write from your own perspective. You also can synthesize other people's perspectives and write. That's really dope. I want to jump into some of the pieces now.
Okay.
So you literally sent me Dear God right before we started. Yeah. And one line jumped out to me. You said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I feel like I'm the weapon.
I just can't win.
Ooh, tell us more.
Because I felt like that line kind of is for me, but it's also for my mom as well. That piece is centered around the fact that in 2019, I got diagnosed with autoimmune disease, Graves' disease, which causes like increased metabolism, hyperthyroidism. And then about a year later, my mom got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. That's, I'll say, worse than mine. So hers is cerebellar ataxia. So it kind of affects her coordination, balance, vision, like a lot of things.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, dang, like, I've been in church my whole life, and I get the diagnosis like this. And then when my mom got sick, I was like, there's literally no way. Like, she's Jesus's best friend. Yeah. This is crazy.
They homies.
I feel like this is out of pocket. But kind of felt like betrayed a little bit. Like, God, she does, like, forget me. Like, I say that in a piece, like, but my mom though, like she does everything. Like, she is praying all the time. She's doing all the church services. She's reaching out. She's teaching. She's doing this, that, and the third. And it's like, your word says this, but her life shows that. So it just felt very contradictory for her to be so gung-ho for God and to still get a diagnosis like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ooh, that's heavy. Also, because I'm a church kid, it reminds me of the story of Job. Of like, who better than the person? So it's like, is this real, or are you doing it because I blessed you?
Yeah.
Also, that sucks too. As a Christian, it's like, man, that reminds me of this story. Yeah. I don't like that story that much.
Yeah, I don't like that story that much. Yeah. But
yeah. So is this real kind of feeling, but not kind of feeling betrayed by God, this real frustration. And that's like one of the things I hear so beautiful in your poetry is both this like anger and questioning of God, but also this resolve of, but I believe you.
Yeah.
So I made an analogy earlier. I'm going to expand upon that analogy.
Okay.
If you are to poetry what AI was to the NBA in 1996, Dear God is the crossover on Jordan.
Jesus. Oh my gosh.
And then Dear PK is one of the many times Iverson just jumped over somebody and dunked on him. So let's talk about Dear PK. First, I'm not a pastor's kid, but as a church kid, I was like, give me 10 more on top of the extra 10 that you gave. It also occurs to me that might have been a really scary piece to perform because it's so intimate. It's so
very afraid to do that piece.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So part of the reason why I was afraid to perform it is because I let my mom hear it. She's gonna hate that I said this. And she immediately paused it, like after the first or second one, and was like, so like, do you hate me? She was like, do you hate me? Like, are you saying that I failed you as a mom? And I was like, no. Get through it all. This is just my experience as a pastor's kid. Yeah. My mother, like her parents were very involved in the church as well. But I feel like it's a different level with both your parents are pastors. Like it's just crazy. But I feel like some people will see it as like a list of complaints, a list of why the church is so bad, a list of why that position is so bad. I don't think that's the crux of the piece. I feel like it's more so like back up on how hard y'all judge pastors' kids, because they are dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
They're dealing with a lot that doesn't ever get talked about. They kind of is just like, they get stereotyped, but nobody ever looks at the why this is happening so much. Because it's like, if there's a pipeline of like pastors' kids that go astray, can we like look at why this is happening? So I feel like that's kind of why I wrote Dear PK. But it was just a lot of fear of it being misinterpreted, or like the message being lost. Or just people being receptive of me criticizing the church more so than actually being like, hey, but the blood of Jesus washes all these stains away. Like just this is something that we need to express so that we can heal from and not run away from God, not run away from church. But I feel like the church as a collective definitely needs to be held accountable for how PKs are getting treated.
Yeah, and as I listened to it, I thought about, because I know PKs, I'm friends with PKs. There's something to like, how do we better cover them? How do we better pray for them? Exactly. How do we better grace them?
Yes.
How do we understand that we're asking a lot of their parents, and everything that we ask their parents to give us, they may not then be able to give them. So as I heard it, I was like, man, I wish that this was, I think we talk about it, but we talk about it from the negative side. Like, oh man, the PK's smoking weed. And it's like, but why do they feel like they need to escape?
Exactly.
Like, what's happening? Or how hard must it be to be a metaphor in a lot of sermons? And like, on some level, the pastors can only preach from their lived experience. So I'm with my family every week. So it comes here, but also I'm the person on the other side of this. What does that feel like? Yeah. So I think you beautifully wrote it. You got to 10 and then gave 10 more. Yeah. And I could have probably did 10 more after that. How did so we heard your mom's response. How did your family respond to it?
My sisters loved it.
Okay. They were like, yes.
They were like, this made me tear up. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. I still have not performed that at my own church. Like, I was just like, nah, like, I'm not ready for that yet.
Are you still at your home church?
No. So, the church that I grew up in, like the church that my parents pastored, my parents got divorced when I was 18. So after that, my dad probably pastored for like another year or two, and then he retired from pastoring full time. So it's like we all had to just find a new church.
Okay.
But, So not at that same church. But,
So, but you haven't done it in front of your church now.
Correct.
What is there something that's holding you back from that?
I feel like it's different performing a piece in front of some like people that you see every single week. Yeah. Or like in front of family that you see every single day. Like it's different. Like me going to a venue, like I know I'm probably never gonna see y'all again. Or like if I do, might be in a few months, and it might be for 25, 30 minutes. Yeah. So it's like it's different when you are being vulnerable like that, especially like with a piece like Dear PK in front of people that you're going to see every single week. And it's like, if they take it the wrong way, or if they see it the wrong way, I'm going to have to see them every
you got to worship
week.
with them.
I got to worship with them every week, So it's a bit of a hang up there. Also, I've only performed at my church maybe twice. Okay. So it's like, it's just, it's not really something that I do a lot. Okay. But it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, I think that's one of the really interesting things about being any kind of performer, is that you have this public persona. And it's like, it's cool to do it if I don't see you that often, or if I see you every once in a while, like, oh, you know this thing about me. It's another thing if like, I'm going to be in small group with you next week.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm singing praise and worship with you. Like,
You said I'm singing praise. That means you sing too?
Every week, yeah. Yeah.
What doesn't smiles do? That's what I wanted to. That's my last question. What don't you know? We have more questions. All right. So on Free, we talked about this a little bit, but you dove into some really vulnerable material in terms of jumping into alcohol use, jumping into weed use, and then what that path back is. What inspired you to write that? And then what is it like being on the other side of that, looking back?
So I actually wrote that piece specifically for an event. Going back to my guy, Meet Spady, he had a residency, and he asked me to be one of the openers. So I was like, all right, how can I... Because I wanted to write something new specifically for this event. And when it comes to Spady's work, he's a very vulnerable artist. So I was like, how can I showcase my vulnerability? And I feel like Dear God is a very vulnerable piece, but I felt like it was more so because it was shared experience with myself and my mom as well. It wasn't really all about me. I didn't really have a piece like that yet. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write this piece because this is something I've never talked about publicly. Like, people didn't even know that I was drinking. People didn't know that I was like doing edibles. Like, it just was not common knowledge. Like, unless you were like one of my close friends, like,
unless you were there doing it with
unless
you
were there doing it with me, you had no idea. So it's just, I felt like it was kind of like my way of showing this is how Spady impacted me, like, as an artist. Like, okay, finding strength through being vulnerable. Okay. So I wrote that piece, and I was like, bruh, this is some heat. Like, this is good. Like,
this one right here.
This one right here.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to do it. I felt like it was a piece that had to be done for me in order to stay accountable to myself. Because it's like, now I'm telling everybody this is what I used to do and no longer do. So if y'all see me backsliding.
So it's almost like an accountability piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, I'm telling the masses, like, yo, this is what I used to do. Surprise, because y'all didn't even know this. Yeah. So it's like, I'm giving y'all reason to look at me now.
I already said it's bold.
It's super bold because no one even knew.
Yeah, it hits me. Like, it's almost like committing a crime and getting away with it and being like, y'all, just so y'all know, I'm the person. And now hold me accountable in case I do this again. Yeah, that wild.
Is exactly what that piece was.
But you know what? That's wild. I wish, man, I entered this podcast impressed with you as a poet. I'm leaving impressed with you as a person.
Oh, thank you.
So, like, when I say the anointing's on you, that's not, like, I don't play with that.
I don't take that like,
yeah, that's serious. That like, you're doing things now that are intentional, that have the ability to set people free. We got one more section, but first I want to talk to the people. If you have not already, follow Smiles on all social media. Search her on YouTube. This poet is phenomenal, and also this person is phenomenal. So on September 27th, you are going to meet not just a phenomenal poet, but a phenomenal person. And I want y'all to be prepared for it. I want y'all to be like the audience in battle rap, where as soon as she's finishing a piece, you're right there with it. Because this is a person who's deserving of that, and whose mission at this point is bigger than just getting us to do that, although we should do that. It's also like really leading people to freedom, leading people to authenticity. And that's what this platform is about, literally platforming artists that have something to say that are really dope. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for having me, really.
All right. So now, the lightning round.
Oh, gosh.
We have a few questions. First thing that comes to mind, if you take too long, I'll make fun of you.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Biggest inspiration?
God.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Hallelujah. If you could share the stage with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Obi West.
Obi West. Obi. Come to Philly and get on. Or, no, fly Smiles out to California so she could get on stage with you. All right. Your favorite piece of yours to perform?
Ooh. A letter to my parents.
A letter to my parents.
I lied. Okay. Well, there's two.
Okay. You could do another one.
And Dear God.
And Dear God.
That's it.
Okay.
That's a hard stop.
If you could only perform one of the two, which one would you do?
Dear God.
Dear God. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you have so many talents. Like, usually when I do this, it's like, is it this or this? But because you have a lot, so you could either only ball, only be a physical therapist, only be a poet, only be a singer. You can only choose one of them. Which would you choose?
Ooh, this sucks.
Come on now.
This sucks. Okay, it's not going to be physical therapist or singer.
Okay, you spent a lot of money on physical therapy. I'm just throwing that one out there.
I know, I did. And,
you about to be doctor for physical therapy.
Yeah,
all right, but it wouldn't be that.
Yeah, so poet and baller is definitely
okay.
where I'm stuck.
Okay, you got to choose one though. Are you draining shots or is people snapping?
You know what? I'm gonna take the selfless route and go poet because I feel like ball is for me.
Okay.
Poetry is for me too, but I feel like it's more.
Okay.
It's more for people.
I'm just getting more and more impressed. Okay. Last one. You need to use your imagination. It's September 27th. Mm-hmm. You're 2 days away from being officially Dr. Smiles. Mm-hmm. You finish your set at the County John. Mm-hmm. There are people standing up applauding. You're hearing them. What's the one word you want them to say?
Thank you.
That's 2 words.
Thanks.
But all right.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you is one.
Yeah.
Thing.
The people. Listen, you just heard it from Smiles herself. She wants you to say thank you for all of the work that she has shared. Smiles, we thank you for being on this podcast. The people, make sure you check in September 27th. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8:30. We have a phenomenal lineup. We got Smiles. We got Vincina. We got Dan. If y'all treat me right, I might give y'all a poet as well or a poem as well. It depends. Make sure y'all buy tickets. Look forward to seeing y'all there.